Hello.
Atasiea, and I'm here with Jessie Johnson. Hi,
So
everyone.
nice to be here.
Yes, thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule with your
Thank,
creative juices flowing around the world to speak to us today about what
thank you,
you're up
thank you.
to.
It's
So,
an honor to be here. I love you. I love what you guys do, and I'm so excited for this conversation.
yes. So, for those of you who don't know, my name is Atasiea, and I co-produce Ecstatic Dance Los Angeles. And Jessie Johnson is such an amazing mentor, coach, and spiritual teacher in our community that many people may not know about, but I have been personally very privileged to work with her and learn from her. And her influence on me has been seminal in the past 2 years since we met in very key ways in terms of upgrading my understanding of how money and spirituality are not mutually exclusive subjects, and how actually the path of spiritual mastery requires right relationship to finances and abundance and prosperity and wealth consciousness. And that was something that I avoided all my life until this period. And Jessie's been instrumental in helping me rise to that challenge and learn. So thank you, Jessie.
What
Um,
an honor. I love
yeah.
hearing that.
Anything you want to share with the community in your own words about how you language the work that you do, or how you brand yourself?
I actually think you did such a beautiful job. Um, Let me think. I do feel like my work consistently, no matter how it refines or focuses or evolves, it stays at the intersection of spirituality and money. I teach sales as a spiritual practice. I help spiritual teachers build seven-figure businesses. I I I agree with you. I am a spiritual teacher, and I use money as the lens that I support my clients with. It's almost like a one of those dyes that they use in biology to kind of highlight where the in this case I'll say unconsciousness is. In the dye metaphor, it's like where the infection is, or something like that, right? Like to sort of highlight, create more contrast. So money functions that way. And so I feel particularly passionate about it in the spiritual community, because I see that our growth edge as a community is just really easy to find when we look at how we show up around money, the way that we talk around money, how empowered we feel around money, where we don't talk about money, where we feel like we don't have enough. You know, it's like, that's a problem or a difficulty for everyone on the planet, but especially with spiritual folks who know, they know the law of attraction. They know that abundance is real. They know that there's more than enough. And so to the extent that we're not practicing that truth in our financial exchange, just shows us our growth edge. So I'm really excited to support Tribe in maturing, developing, evolving their relationship to money so that they can live even more truly free on all levels.
Aho, because we need that support right now. I mean, all of us do. Even those of us who may be more financially prosperous, well off, privileged, there's still upgrades to be made around right relationship to resources and energy exchange, and the fact that monetary value systems are a form of energy exchange that is worthy of, that everyone is worthy of being invited into in a way that is empowering.
Absolutely.
And there's a lot of disempowering program that I myself have inherited or developed as someone who's from Oakland, California, a very spiritual kind of social justice activist community, which has a lot of underpinnings of like the program or the belief system that to be wealthy or to be rich is to be evil or inherently corrupt. and that the things are mutually exclusive, that your virtue is eclipsed by how much money you might accumulate, or you have to sell out to become wealthy or be abundant. And I noticed that some of those ideas exist in the larger community that I'm a part of, even here in Los Angeles and internationally.
You're so articulate about this, Atasiea. It's really, really powerful hearing you speak about it. I'm even more excited than I was like 5 minutes ago that we're having this conversation. And I relate to that. You know, I grew up in the 80s. Ronald Reagan was president when I was born, and I totally grew up with that same belief system. And then even in adulthood, I mean, I worked in New York City public schools for 12 years because I didn't want to have more privilege than I already had. And that was the best job that I could come up with that would allow me to like pay my rent, you know, not be totally impoverished, but I didn't want money in my life because I thought that if I had money, it would make me at the minimum even more privileged than I already was as a white, incredibly well-educated woman in America. And so this has been a long time coming. I think also that the example that you gave was so powerful in a couple different ways. I thought about this, that the kind of mastery that I'm talking around with money, it does show up in financial abundance and having the money to spend, but it's not really about a number. And I name that because I think that just having wealth doesn't necessarily mean that you are masterful or free around money. Just to put it out there, like the financial mastery, the financial freedom that I teach is not about a number in the bank. It's about a skill set of knowing that you can bring in whatever financial resources you want or need whenever you want or need them. And that's the piece that I think the spiritual community is just ripe for. They're like, they have the self-reflective capacity. They care about giving back to the earth. We are, all of us in spiritual community, I think we're all social activists, whether we know it or not, because we're all seeking freedom for ourselves and our communities. And money is a tool in service to that vision. So it's just time. The world has changed, you know, we're not living in the 80s anymore. In fact, I think that that's part of why we're talking right now in the way that we are. We've known each other these last 2 years. We've never thought to do this before. The reason we're doing it now is because the world has changed and the community is ready for something that it wasn't ready before, to really claim mastery, not just in their meditation practice or their sex life or their dance, but in every area of their life, including money.
So well said. Exactly. It's something that Robin and I are working with as we grow Ecstatic Dance LA as a business and as an enterprise that has social impact, as social entrepreneurs, as awakened people on the planet who care about the effect that we have, that our company, that our resources, that our exchange has on everything else. There's got to be a level of education that moves us closer to mastery and not just like repeating old patterns that are unconscious. And so that's why we've been seeking your guidance, and that's why we're super excited about the retreat that you're holding and that we're going to be partnering with you on and hopefully participating in. It's December 7th and 8th of 2019. It's called the Money, Mindset, and Meditation Retreat, correct?
Yes.
And so this is going to be in Venice, California. And you, in my experience of following you over the past couple of years, it doesn't seem like you're doing the majority of the work that you do locally in LA. It's like you're international, you're always at different locations. So have you done anything like this in LA before?
No, and I love that you reflected that, because it is a big deal. I do this work all the time, day in, day out. I do it all over the world. You're right. I realized that I really wanted to be in more collaboration with the spiritual communities in LA. I wanted to be serving the spiritual communities in LA, and I wanted to work. I mean, this is where I live. I love to work here. So it's funny, actually, it took Jay Brave like pointing out this new studio that opened up just a couple months ago on Washington Boulevard. He was like, hey, you know, they're doing, and I'm like, this is cute. Like, I love that we're here. Jay's like, yeah, we got to do events here. And I'm like, oh yeah. He's like, yeah, they opened the space so we can fill it. And immediately I was just like, okay, all right, let's do something. I want to do a weekend workshop just for local community. As it happens, of course, people are coming flying in from all over, which is hilarious. It's just extra. But my intention was really like, let's keep it like, let's focus on our roots. You know, this community is where I live. I want to support this community. So that's why I reached out to you guys. I really wanted to connect and collaborate with you. And the purpose of the event is to really empower people around money. I mean, that first and foremost, to get more free, more masterful. And I'm a big mastery and integration teacher, I would say. Like I'm really good at helping people call forth their mastery. I'm not particularly a trainer of mastery. Like I believe that you guys, anyone that's listening to this, you already have your mastery. You'll continue to expand and grow, and we all do learning the whole time, but that the mastery that you're here to offer the world is already inside you. It's already here. And so I'm really good at like calling that out and fueling the confidence around that mastery, and then attaching it to its financial component in a conscious way. So whatever your financial goals are, that's what we'll work on. And we'll do it through the lenses of vision, helping you really like see what it is that's next for you in 2020 specifically. Strategy, right? I'll teach you guys many skills, primarily like action based, and I'm going to give a bunch of assignments to people to put into practice so that they can really like add a zero to their monthly income in December. That's kind of how I roll. And then the mindset stuff will show up as we go. I'm a fan of teaching mindset through action. So when people take new action, then it shows them where they need to grow. And so I'll be also teaching a lot of mindset around it, but it's going to be very practical and very applicable right away. And so anyone who's doing anything entrepreneurial, especially if you're a healer or a spiritual teacher or working with energy of any kind, a coach, facilitating transformation, teaching people how to dance, this is a great environment for you, because I know you and your hearts. I know how you work with the bigger than these bodies that we walk around in, and helping you get masterful around money is my mission in this life. So
wow. Yes, it's inspiring to hear people who know what their mission is speak about it with clarity and passion. It lights me up when I hear people who have a specific mission, and it's almost teeming from their energy field when they light up when they're talking about it. And when you were just speaking about this 2-day retreat, it just was oozing out of you, like the actual authentic excitement about the work you do.
Yeah. Oh, let me say, I just realized, can I throw one more thing in there?
Please.
In the past, my events that are the most similar to this have happened in hotel conference rooms. That's kind of the model for entrepreneurs who do events. It's like you take people to a hotel, and you can hear it in my tone of voice how not into that model I am. And so I'm super excited to be doing, this is going to be a retreat. It's going to be immersive. Like, we're going in for 2 days, and we're going to be in a meditation studio. So most of us will be sitting on the floor with our shoes off. There's crystals all around this gallery. So it's like, you know, that felt really important to me, and it's a big deal for me to claim that and choose that. Like, fuck the hotel conference room. That's not my jam. That's not actually where I want to be. I like being in the light. I like being surrounded by these very spiritual tools. There's a big, beautiful gong in the space. I mean, it's like, yes, of course we should be. If we're talking about spirituality and money, of course we should be in that space. So I'm really excited about the location too.
Oh yeah, I'm excited to see it. I haven't seen this new venue. You said it's called
Hallowed Ground.
Hallowed Ground in Venice.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna come check it out and see. Is it already open, or is it like the grand opening aligned?
Yeah. It's already open. They have pretty regular meditation classes, and it's just a really sweet, beautiful space.
Okay.
Really, they did a great job.
Well, cool. I had a little list of questions. I think we kind of covered them organically. Yeah, one of the things that I had, which you don't even have to answer this if you don't want to, but what are the top 3 belief systems or programs that you see reoccurring within the community, the spiritual community, the activist community, the social justice workers, the healers, all the different people within our networks that we may work with regularly, that you see reoccurring that are common misconceptions or misperceptions that you almost can attribute to the community at large? Not that anyone is always like able to be painted with such a broad stroke, but there are archetypal or even like morphogenic field level things that you can attribute to communities of people. And around lack and limitation around this subject, what are the 3 key things or 3 top things that you could name that you see over and over again that you think this retreat and your work in general is helping people like us deal with?
I love this question so much. This is like only you would ask me this question, and it's so good. Okay, so the first thing that came to mind, because I have more than 3, but I think that one of the biggest ones, it's kind of like a pet peeve for me actually, is when spiritual, let's just say conscious people, right? People who are practicing consciousness, who are leaning into growth around their consciousness, whether they're doing that with psychedelics or dance or meditation or something else, that to use spiritual principles to justify mediocrity. Whether that mediocrity shows up in being late to a meeting and being like, it's divine timing. It's like, well, yes, of course. And also like have a little personal responsibility. You're in a human body for a reason too. You're not just spirit. So it's almost like the balancing of the spiritual understanding and integration with our material life. Like that's true spiritual excellence. I don't think that one has to be sacrificed for the other. And when either one is out of balance, it throws the whole thing off. So, this shows up also around communication. It shows up around money. And so with money, money is one of those things that we as a culture, totally universal, I think, in the Western culture, we're not trained to talk about it at all, even with our families. So I also have deep compassion for our resistance to doing so. But I really want to invite our excellent conscious community to take really powerful responsibility for talking explicitly and not avoiding these subjects under the guise of something spiritual. Like let's speak truth. That's what we're here to do. So I want to say, like, if I were to give a title to that particular pattern, it's like the spiritual cop-out. Some people might call it a bypass, but I think that that's a different concept actually. Like this is where it's a genuine misunderstanding that if we talk about money, or if we talk about things that are of this earth in this material form, that somehow that makes us less spiritual. So let's just not talk about it. I can't tell you how many conscious events I have been on the back end of, supporting, coaching, or producing back in the day when I used to produce conscious events in New York City, where because there wasn't a concrete conversation about money wasn't discussed until after the event was over. And then whatever amount of money there was, which was never enough, was divvied up imperfectly among the organizers, and everybody left feeling shitty about it. I mean, it was the opposite of the like open-hearted love and compassion. That doesn't mean that people inside the conversation they were being very spiritual, right? But like actually on the inside, everyone was feeling resentful. Like I didn't actually get acknowledged. I didn't get paid. I didn't get compensated for my contribution. So I think it's actually the most radical and sort of aligned to our social activism choice to prioritize the conversation around money. And that looks like creating a budget and setting a goal for how much money will come in and deciding where that money is going to go before anything happens. And then the whole team or community or individual or whatever, making that happen, making that financial goal real. Because that's the truth, is that we have 100% control over our finances. That's an uncomfortable truth for people to lean into, but the alternative is disempowerment and victimhood. So it's like, even if you didn't believe me, like just lean into the empowerment. So let's say that that's the second sort of pattern, is subtle victim belief. It's like it manifests as scarcity or it manifests as toleration, but the underlying heart of it is coming from this misunderstanding that this thing that is this unacceptable actually is spiritual. If we just love it enough, it'll be fine.
Meaning the lack and the limitation around having financial resources, that if we accept that, it'll be fine.
Yeah, or like just as an example, I'm thinking of these events that we used to produce in New York. We always wanted a certain amount of money. I think we had like some idea about that, but it was really a fantasy. We didn't come up with a concrete plan to make that happen, and we didn't measure our success or how close to it we were in the preparation. So we didn't really look at it until the end. And it was like, we were kind of basically like crossing our fingers, squeezing our eyes, maybe even plugging our ears, being like, I'm just going to pray that this is going to work. It's going to work. If I believe in God, if I believe in love enough, it's going to work. It's like, no, open up your eyes, make a budget, decide how much you want to make, how many people need to walk through the door. Like, this is simple arithmetic. It's not complicated math. But, right, like, it's like an elevation of consciousness. That's the truth. That's why I'm so passionate about it, because money is a consciousness tool. So it's funny, I'm like, these things are really, I'm talking about more than two things, but they're blurring together because I'm just getting really excited.
Yeah.
Do you want me to come up with a third, or should we pause here?
Yeah, and I challenge you to try to make it concise, so that even if it is a big meta level thing that it branches out to or expands to, that there's a consolidated nugget of this thing.
I love it.
The headline.
Okay, so I will give you, okay, so it'll help me to like recap. So first headline is the spiritual cop-out. Like calling something spiritual that's not spiritual particularly, and using it to justify mediocrity. The second, let's actually say it kind of like found its way to just being willing to look at the numbers and talk about the numbers together, that there's a resistance to just making it concrete. And I think that the truth of that is that it feels vulnerable to do it. Mm-hmm. It's not because it's not spiritual, it's because it's risky to say, I'm going to commit to this. I think that the third that actually is the most powerful is that, and this is also very universal, but I think it's particularly strong among spiritual teachers and healers and consciousness seekers, is the sense that there has to be some kind of trade-off. Like you were saying earlier, like the selling out, just like deep-rooted belief that you have to choose between wealth and service, or success and spiritual connection with God. And I'll be totally honest with you, Atasiea, I think that may have been true in the past. It just isn't anymore. Like, we are at a time in human history where if we continue to perpetuate that separation, the polarization that we're already seeing is just going to get worse. Like, we are being asked to, as spiritual leaders, bring all of our spiritual consciousness into our material experience and lead the way. I actually think that we're meant to lead, not just like support the leaders, but actually be the leaders who bring this consciousness, like raise the standard of consciousness by being masterful around money and matter. So, you know, I started that as the headline as one thing, but I maybe the truth is that it's like the call to integrate, the call to lead, and to master money in service to that leadership. Because without the financial resources, it's very hard to be taken seriously. It's very hard to, like you and I were talking before this about hiring a professional attorney to make sure that signing a contract with a TV network is like gonna work well, that kind of thing. It's like, it takes money. You wanna like show up in your fullness. And so, so I keep wanting to recap, but I feel like this is good. The transmission is coming through.
That integration piece is huge. And what you're saying about being an effective leader and the resources that are required for that are, money is going to be required, whether you are the person directly in ownership or holding that or just having access to it. Those resources need to be able to flow through whatever your venture is into actual services that cost money. Resources cost money.
Yeah.
We need to, as social change agents, as people who want to bring about a new paradigm of coexistence on the planet for the indefinite future, a lot of resources need to be funneled into that activity, and it needs to be intersectional and coordinated. And those of us who are pillars in that need to be strong to hold up ourselves and each other. It's going to take a lot of concerted effort and resource. So that's why I want to work with you. That's why I'm trying to direct people from the community to be aware of the work that you're doing, because I know that you hold a level of mastery in terms of educating and supporting people to get upgrades on these patterns and these belief systems. And then it is actually your dharma, and you actually are passionate about it and here to serve in that capacity. And it's not some get rich quick scheme that we might think of when we hear people talking about money. Oh, they're trying to trap me. All the fears and things that we have, that we hold around it. And so I just want to kind of advocate for anyone who, like me, is on this precipice of realizing personally, like, oh, I have to step up to the next level of my financial wealth and abundance and my mastery of my own issues with this. And it's a process, it's a lifelong process, but I can do it if I ask for help and I talk about it transparently and share and go into those vulnerable places. That's what's required to like air it and clear it and shift. So thank you, Jessie.
You're so welcome.
Being on the planet with us.
Yeah. Well, and I want to throw in just one more thing that's just occurred to me when I heard you say like get rich quick, because it's like both. I had a client who, she's been in business for a couple of years. She's not like brand new, but just in the last 2 weeks, she realized that she didn't want to do what she's been doing. Spirit was guiding her to change her message and her brand and her clientele. And she was terrified and like, you know, distracting herself with 17 different things to avoid looking at it. And then finally kind of came into ownership of it. I gave her a little bit of coaching around it. And in less than a week, because I saw her on Sunday, it's Friday now, so less than a week, she sold $60,000 in new clients. Like her spiritual alignment, her being willing to fully say yes to her inner guidance with all the fear and doubt and worry that comes with that, but like believing more in that guidance than anything else. and letting me help her think about the business structure, immediately turned that around and made $60,000 this week. And that was, I mean, she told me that yesterday. Who knows what she sold today? Like, so it can happen fast. And, you know, I didn't know anything about business when I started. I built a 7-figure business in 2 years. I think that's shocking still. Like, so I also want to hold that it's not about getting rich. It's about mastering money. And when you do that, you can bring in whatever amount you want or need whenever you want and need it. And the speed of it is totally up to you.
Thank you so much for that clarification, because that's a misperception that I have had around your programs or any coach's programs, that it has to be on the time frame that they're suggesting that it should be on. Not, you can do this or not, or you can do this at the pace that you want to do it, but decide what you actually really want to do and be about that life. Don't pretend.
Yes.
Do it.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
That's what you helped me with. So thank you.
I love that.
Well, we're kind of moving to the end of our time. Is there anything in closing that you want to say about the retreat? The Money, Mindset, and Meditation retreat is December 7th and 8th in Venice. There's only space for like 35 people, right?
At max. It's a small studio. So my vision for this is that it's very intimate. I just want the people who want to be there. And if anyone wants to be there, I wanted to make it easy to say yes. So it's very inexpensive. It's the lowest cost program I've ever offered. So it's right now it's $397. On Monday, the price goes up $100. So if you're interested, my encouragement is to say yes. Atasiea will give you guys a special link that's just for the Ecstatic Dance community, and you can buy through there. And then we'll meet for 2 full days to help you very intimately go into your own material around money, clarify your vision, come up with a strategy to make it real, and then go out there into the world to shine your fully integrated, masterful selves. So I'm available. If you guys have questions, you can message me or email me and let me know, and I'll talk you through it.
Oh, wow. Okay, cool. Will there be other like activities that people can embody to kind of reset their minds? Or are you going to be doing any
you know it
or anything?
Yeah, we'll be doing, because nobody wants to sit all day 2 days in a row. So yeah, we'll be doing a lot of movement activities. We'll be going out to the beach. For me, part of the integration is actually using the body. So my training as a mover is part of how we connected. So I will be bringing that in. And I think it's possible, Robin and I are still hatching plans. It's possible that he'll do a little something. My husband, Shrikala, will do something. So we'll see. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it's going to be really, really fun. And it's going to be deep. And I'm, if you say yes to this, I'm going to get in there and like help you find what's slowing you down. So come prepared to go deep and do some very serious truth telling, truth looking for yourself.
All right. Thank you so much, Jessie Johnson.
Thank you,
really appreciate your coaching, and this retreat gets my highest recommendation. Join us there if you can. The prices go up on November 18th. They're going to go up to $497. So get this special discount that we're going to share in the comments here, and book it this weekend if you want to show up.
Boom.
All
no
right.
reason to wait.
Thank you for your time and speaking to us, and
such a pleasure.
Everything you're doing. Looking forward to seeing you there.
Yeah, I love you. I love what you guys do. Thank you for your service, and thanks so much for spending this time with me. I'm honored.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Everything you want.